Jenny from Jenny Stitching Simply here on Flosstube and on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and thank you to everyone that is new. I know that Denise from Black Ribbon Design Studio, who is just the sweetest, had very kindly mentioned my videos in her last video. So if you've come over from Denise, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I have some stitching to share with you today, and also some other sewing craft projects that I've been working on. It's only been about 2 weeks since my last regular video, so I think that's one of the reasons I feel like I don't have quite as much stitching done, but it could also be that it's summertime and we're all outside a lot more. But I'm excited to show you what I've been working on. I will say this is completely first world problem, and I'm self-conscious about it, and I'm just going to mention it now. I lost a crown and a post on, actually it was on our wedding anniversary. It's not a big deal, but I can't get to the oral surgeon for about a month, so I feel like it affects how I speak. And it just, you know how any tiny little thing in your mouth feels gigantic? So that's what's going on with that. Again, if that's my biggest problem, I am not complaining at all. So just mention that. So I worked on Long Dog Sampler's Quaker dozen. I've been trying to do one section a month, and I have not finished the section that I want to do for May yet. I feel like I've just been stitching very slowly. This one was tough on the chart. I did not think that it was my favorite section. You know, when things are charted in a monochrome chart and everything is the same symbol, sometimes it's a little hard to see what the overall design is going to end up looking like. And then as I was stitching it, I completely fell in love with it. So it's this beautiful crest, and then the initials will go here, and the year goes at the bottom. I think this is a squirrel, I'm guessing from his adorable tail, and that's mirrored on this side. And there's two little motifs here. So, I mean, the part that always takes the longest, of course, is making sure that all of this is correct, and then filling in the section is never as bad. But this one is on Picture This Plus 32 count pewter, and I will put everything in the bottom at the description box, so if I forget to mention anything, it will be down there. But this is what I have so far. So I really love it. I feel like I'm being really, really slow. And I keep my threads for this in a little pouch that I made, and they're not nice and neat. This is what it looks like. So I feel like it depends on the project. Some projects I have on thread drops, and some I've just been enjoying keeping in a pouch like this. There's only a couple colors. So I'm using DMC 413, Cosmo 983, and then I have some leftover Gloriana Arctic Ice Silk, and some gray, I think it's slate gray from Almond MnMs. So I have those in little bags, and I'll just use those until I run out, and I've just been kind of mixing them into the design. I think it's a good way to use up those remnants of the silks mixed in with the DMC and the Cosmo. So I really enjoy this. I just haven't gotten much done on it this month. And then I started Consider the Lilies. I did go ahead and start it. My dear friend Eileen had gifted me the chart. I know it's one that everyone has seen and loves, and I've had it kitted. I kitted it with the DMC colors. I used a few overdyed that I had, but the rest is DMC. And this one, because there are so many colors, this is something that I would put on the thread drops. It really just depends on the project for me. I'm not very consistent on how I store my threads when I'm using them. And Eileen had given me a beautiful piece of 36 count R&R Beach Brew. And when I had kitted the project, I thought, I think this would work on blue. I really think that it would work. And I looked through Instagram to see what colors people had started theirs on, and it's so beautiful on all of the neutral colors, but you know I love my blue so much. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just have to make some color changes. But really the only color, these are all the called for, and the only color that I think I'm going to have, well, I know I'm gonna have to swap out, is DMC 926, because it's almost exactly the same color as the fabric. I'm excited to get back to this. I started and just didn't want to put it down like everyone says, and then I got sidetracked with other things, of course. I did not make any plans for May, and I thought, you know what I'll do for May? I'll actually try to be more consistent posting what I'm working on Instagram. So instead of starting a new project every day or every week, I will actually post every day. But if you go and look at my Instagram, that didn't happen either. I started out the month doing that, and then that quickly fizzled off. I'm not very good at consistently posting on social media, but it has been fun. I'm also really bad at responding to comments because I post something and then forget about it, I guess. I don't know, it's a terrible excuse. So I do want to be better at that because I think it is a really fun way to connect with people that are out of the area that you wouldn't otherwise get to talk to. So that's a goal as well. And I made a Flosstube extra where I shared, I was using this Consider the Lilies piece to show my stitching space setup. And there was a really good comment from Sunny Days 9999. She had asked the question because I had shared that I keep this project in this eco bag and I just have a sticker label for the identifier. And she asked me if I make anything for my floss to make sure that I don't mix up the threads. And when she said that, I thought, you know, I always mean to do that. I always think that I should label them. Most of my projects, I think I could tell apart because I don't really have that many whips at one time. But still, if I put something away and it's a year before I look at it, there's always a possibility of mixing it up. So I thought, let me stop and make some kind of tag. So I just did a little project card that you can put the project, the designer, the start date, and the fabric on that can go on the project tag. I printed this out a little bit too big, but I thought it's probably easier this way to see it anyway on camera. And I made a page of 4, and this is a PDF that I will link in the description box if you would like to use these to either put on your floss rings or project bags. I also made a little bit larger version. Oh, this is for Quaker's Dozen, just to put in the bag with it, and then here you can put the dates that you worked on it. I know that there's lots of them out there. I just wanted to make something for myself, and then I thought, well, it's a PDF, I can easily share it with everyone. And then if you want to adjust the size, you know, if you go into your printer settings, when you go to prints, on my computer it'll say advanced settings, and then I can go in there and change, you know, I can make it 100% or 80% or whatever percentage you want, and then you can shrink it down. So they're a little bit on the bigger side, but you can adjust those. And even if you get your things printed at like a, you know, Staples or UPS store or something like that, they can adjust the size for you as well. So I will link those below, and hopefully that's something that maybe you'll find useful. I always wish there was something that I could just like give to everyone that watches, because I'm so grateful. So I did try I made the one chart, and it's really hard. I mean, that's actually really hard. And I thought, well, PDF principles, I can definitely handle that. So there may be more in the future also as I make things or think of things. If anybody has anything that you wish you had a printable, I can't even think of words, you know, something you could print that you would use for your cross-stitching organization or tracking or anything like that, just let me know, because I think it's fun doing things like that. But anyway, so the other thing that I worked on was the little cross-stitch camp patch that Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher had generously made for everyone. And you can find this on the Colorado Cross Stitcher website. I'll link it below. It's in the free chart section. And if I remember correctly, I think you have to put it in your cart and then check out, but there's no cost for it, obviously. And I did this one, I made a camp project bag. Basically, I made the project bag just so I could put the patch on, and I still wanted to do the summer 2021 and then the winter 2022, yeah, on here as well. But I stitched them, or this one, and I'll do the other ones on. This is a piece of Monaco that I got from Cross Stitching Supply that I mentioned in the last video. I really like this natural color Monaco, and it worked really well for the patch. I did it 1/1. It's 28 count because, you know, it's Monaco. And then for some of the fill-in, I just did half or 10 stitches, and then I just glued it on. I took tacky glue and put it on the back right underneath this line of back stitching, so it had, you know, the kind of extra layer of thread, and it wouldn't come out through the holes of the fabric. And then I just glued it on, and it's fine. It's not coming off. So And then last year for cross stitch camp, I did this piece behind me, but I'll talk about that in a minute as a previous finish. If you're not familiar with cross stitch camp, go to Sherry Colorado Cross Stitcher's YouTube channel, and she explains the free event that runs July, oh my goodness, June, July, and August, and it's a lot of fun. So there's kind of a lot going on behind me right now. We do like to change out the top of this furniture piece that my husband built seasonally or whenever, you know. So I was in the attic the other day, still trying to clean out the attic. If you've watched my videos from last fall, I think I started, and the painting, I want to say, I think my mom did this painting. I don't even think it's finished. I just really like it. And then the little pink flower Tristan made me when he was in 5th grade. So that's a little treasure. Last year for cross stitch camp, I decided to do flea market flowers. Now, it was the first cross stitch camp, and I thought, of course I can get this done in the month of June. Why not, right? And I did get it done in June, but it was really hard. I love it. I will say, I think I was able to get it done because last year Roman was only 15, so he didn't have his driver's license yet. So I spent a lot of time sitting in the car while he was biking, which now he has his license and I don't have to do that anymore. But this is rotated. So I think this would be the top of the chart. And in order for it to fit in this wooden box that I wanted to use, I knew that I was going to have to rotate it and lose a little bit of the border. And then I decided to put my initial in one of the squares. And I had shown this before when I originally finished it, but basically it's a to-go stitching box because it's a lap desk that I found on Etsy. So when I was having to sit in the car for 8 hours a day, I could use this. There's a little tray, there's a little jar for orts, there's a tape measure, and then it's lined with wool, and then there's a needle minder on the outside. So I really liked this project. I just, in hindsight, would not try to finish something like this in a month again. So you'll see my project for this year's camp is significantly smaller, for sure. This year for camp, since June is the month of stitching something seasonal, I am going to do this Prairie Schooler chart. So we've gone from that to this. This is much more realistic. Also, it meets my goal of stitching one ornament a month for the entire year. This is for Tristan in particular because he absolutely loves to ski. So this will be for Tristan, and then Roman will get the one from this year that has the penguins, because I don't know if I've mentioned it before, Roman just, that's always been his animal, is penguins. Like, he just, still people buy him things with penguins on it, and he's 16 and he just loves penguins. So I will take out the text on the 2022 Santa with the penguins, but that will be for Tristan. And I'm going to do it on this 32 count Lugana that I had shown in the last video and change the colors a little bit. I might make it steamboat color, since that's where he works in the winter. Not totally steamboat colors, but you know what I mean. So it's, he'll get it. So that will be that will be cross stitch camp for June. I had shared in my stitching setup video a mat that I made. I normally use a old cutting mat and I sit at the dining room table. So I had decided to use this By the Bay Needle Art Funky Flower piece that I stitched to make a cutting, or not cutting, like a little stitching mat. And there's a little place for needles, a little place to tie your flosses on. And I've just been trying to practice my quilting. This I just, you know, went for it on the machine. I really don't have a lot of experience quilting. I can sew, but excuse me, I have a tickle. So I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get, you know, my line straighter, all that. So I made that in that time period between my last video. And then my husband was working on a sewing project to make a rain fly for a tent that we had that it needed to be replaced and it wasn't replaceable. And he's, long story short, he's getting really, really good at sewing, like really good. And then he was sewing, and then that made me want to sew more because he was sewing and having fun. So then over the weekend, we were taking turns with the sewing machine and we were laughing about how it was Friday night and we were, you know, like all weekend the kids had all these fun things to do and he and I are sitting at home sewing. So, but it's been great. And then I think this is what I did first because I just wanted to try to practice, I don't know, sewing straight lines and quilting it properly. Like, I think this is what you're supposed to do. Quilt, like sew on either side of where it's actually pieced together. And this was all fabric that I had. I don't have a, if you've ever watched my how I organize in a small space video, I don't have a lot of fabric. I don't have a big fabric stash. So I was just cutting up things that I had. So I did that. And these will probably be project bags. I don't really need project bags, but I don't know what else to make with it because I'm not at the point yet where I feel like I can handle a full-size quilt. I just like making these little pieces. So then I did this one. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I had gotten this fabric at Pine Needles in Utah, I think 5 or 6 years ago when I was visiting my family, and it was just a fat quarter. I just thought it was so cute. It had like the turtles and the llamas, and so finally did something with that. And then I had leftover from the project bag that I showed earlier, so I did that one. So I feel like my piecing is getting a lot better, but my quilting, I mean, maybe they're just not straight for anyone and I'm being super hard on myself, but I just feel like it could be a lot straighter. And then I did this one because I got this, is it Country Sampler, I believe, that had the blackbird. So I did this one, and then I just had to wait my turn for the sewing machine, and I just kept cutting things up. I just cut stacks and stacks of fabric that I had. I have a lot of neat vintage fabric. This is little seashells and plaid, and I just kept cutting. Just all different size little pieces, little bees that are cute. So that, I think, was part of my stitching time also the past few weeks, but it's been a lot of fun. And Steve is almost done with his tent project, I think. But I'm sure he'll find something else to sew because, like I said, he's doing a really good job with it. and I'll just keep cutting out squares and piecing them together and try to practice straight lines. So that's been a lot of fun, because I know I've been talking about doing that forever and learning more about quilting. So that's my start to my quilting journey right there. My sweet mother got me 3 of the new Blackbird Designs fabric that I'm so excited about. And it was kind of funny because she had asked me, my mom and my brother often go to quilt shops, and like months and months ago, she had asked, if there was anything I was looking for. And I said, oh, if any of the shops that you go to are going to get the Blackbird line in, I would love some of that. So then it became her mission, to find this. And as we all know, the release got pushed back and pushed back. So she made sure to get me a card. Huge shout out to Village Dry Goods, because we were joking that there was going to end up a restraining order against my mother for calling and stopping in so much to make sure that she did not miss the arrival of the Blackbird fabric. So if you are in the Brigham City area in Utah, they are the absolute sweetest. My mom could not say enough nice things about everyone there. So she got the fabric. She got that. She's the best. I mean, she really, when she's on a mission like that, she'll find it. So I just got in the mail this weekend. So I was very excited about that. And the other thing that I always forget to show you guys, I always mean to, when I do the ornaments and the little smalls and I talk about my box of floss, this is what I'm talking about. So if I have floss from a project, I do put it away properly. But when I have a strand or something, or a little, I love doing those little shepherd's bush kits, and sometimes, there's a lot of floss left over, and sometimes there's little pieces. So I throw it in here, and then I try to pull from this to do the little ornaments, or, if it's like a cute, small free chart or something. So that's the container that I'm always talking about. And this was another Longenberger basket that I had found at the thrift store, and some of the other ones I've stitched something for the top of, so I still want to do something that's an oval. If anybody has any recommendations for something with a pretty oval shape to go on top of this, I would love to do that. I have the same basket in the bigger size also with the same trim, so that was fun. There was a period when my husband had to go to physical therapy that I was always at the antique store, and I just happened to, every time I went, there was another basket that was really inexpensive. And then the other thing that I was doing was, I guess I just felt like I wanted to paint or paper craft or do something like that. So I made some needle minders. They're in the shop, or in my Etsy shop. And what I did was take, this one has Liberty fabric, and then this is from a vintage book of 16th century floral engravings. And I just used paint and layered everything, and then kind of hand painted in some of the clippings from the book. So they're in a box with, I did put a little coordinating button on the back of the magnet, but I found that these wooden discs are so nice and light that it makes it a lot easier when you're stitching in hand. So that was, I guess I did do a lot of projects. It just wasn't all stitching. And then some of them, these are from the vintage or antique greeting cards that you find, at the antique store. So there's all different ones. They're in the Etsy shop. But I was just having fun making those, but of course then I had to organize all my paints and label that, you know, I have them in a box, and then I thought, well, I can't see the colors, so I had to put like the drop of paint on each lid, and it was like this whole thing. And just so that I could use the paint, I had to get it all organized. But anyway, and I think the last thing that I need to do is announce the giveaway winners from last time, and then I have something for this video also that I would love to share. So the first is the Amish quilt bookmark set, and that goes to Stitching by the River. So congratulations. If you will just email me and send me your mailing address, I will get this shipped out to you as soon as possible. And then the second one was Pomegranate Christmas by Rosewood Manor, and this is for Sue Landriault. So Sue, if you will also email me, and congratulations. And Sue had mentioned she does stitch Christmas all year also, and right now she's in the middle of working on 8 of 25 bears. So that is awesome. I am really enjoying doing Christmas all year too. Even if my version is just one small ornament a month, it makes me really happy. So for this week, or this video, I should say, I would love to share the chart from Lila Studio. I had shown in one of my previous videos that I stitched this center section of it, and it's a beautiful chart. There's I did stitch this part from it. There's no markings on it, and for this one, if you're interested in stitching this, just use the word sampler in your comments. If you're stitching on a sampler, tell me about it, or if you don't like to do samplers, whatever you want to say, just sampler. And all the normal things, just be over 18 so I can get your address, and be a subscriber, and don't mention giveaway or anything like that in the comments. So I think that is everything for this time, guys, and I sincerely hope that everyone is okay and happy and safe and getting to enjoy the summer, if it's summer where you're at. And I will be sure to talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.